African Union Communications, Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command and combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. From 15th to 21st August 2026, the armed forces of the Russian Federation continued the special military operation. Russian forces delivered combined precision strikes and launched offensive actions across multiple operational directions. The following report covers the North, West, South, Center, East, and Dnipro groups, the aviation strike campaign, air defense, and cumulative loss figures. The North group of forces took control over Kudiyevka in the Kharkov region. Over the week, Russian units struck manpower and military hardware of 6 mechanized brigades, 2 motorized infantry brigades, 2 airmobile brigades, 2 rocket artillery brigades, 2 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 2 territorial defense brigades, 1 National Guard brigade, and 1 border detachment of the Ukrainian Border Service. In this direction, the enemy lost up to 1,550 troops, 11 armored fighting vehicles, 69 motor vehicles, 3 artillery guns, and 9 electronic warfare and counterfire stations. The West Group's units took more advantageous lines and positions during the week. Strikes were delivered at units of 5 mechanized brigades, 1 airmobile brigade, 1 assault brigade, 1 mountain assault brigade, 1 assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 1 presidential brigade, 2 marine brigades, 4 territorial defense brigades, and 1 border detachment of the Ukrainian Border Service. The enemy's losses in this direction amounted to more than 1,490 troops, 1 tank, and 16 armored fighting vehicles, 6 of which were manufactured by NATO countries. Russian troops also destroyed 106 motor vehicles, 1 Grad MLRS combat vehicle, 15 field artillery guns, and 9 electronic warfare stations. Last week, as a result of active offensive actions by units of the South Group of Forces, the settlements of Pershomaryevka, Orekhovatka, and Nikolaipolye in the Donetsk People's Republic were liberated. The group inflicted losses on manpower and hardware of 4 mechanized brigades, 2 airmobile brigades, 2 mountain assault brigades, 1 assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 1 territorial defense brigade. In total, in the South Group's area of responsibility, the Armed Forces of Ukraine lost more than 1,660 troops, 31 armored fighting vehicles, including 17 Western-made vehicles, 171 motor vehicles, and 22 field artillery guns. During the week, as a result of resolute actions, units of the Center Group of Forces liberated Andreyevskaya Obshchina, Krasnopodolye, Vodyanskoye, and Matyashevo in the Donetsk People's Republic. Strikes were delivered at formations of 3 mechanized brigades, 1 Jaeger brigade, 1 assault brigade, 3 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 2 Marine brigades, and 4 National Guard brigades. The enemy's losses in this direction amounted to more than 2,550 troops, 24 armored fighting vehicles, and 55 motor vehicles. A Czech-made Vampire MLRS combat vehicle and 2 Grad MLRS combat vehicles, 6 field artillery guns, and 8 electronic warfare stations were neutralized. During the week, units of the East Group of Forces continued to advance into the depths of the enemy's defense. As a result of decisive actions, the settlements of Rybalskoye, Novosoloshino, and, on 20th August, Zelenoye in the Zaporozhye region were liberated. Russian troops inflicted damage on the formations of 2 assault brigades, 3 air assault brigades, 3 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 1 Marine brigade. The Armed Forces of Ukraine losses in the East Group's area of responsibility amounted to more than 2,340 troops, 2 tanks, 15 armored fighting vehicles, 54 motor vehicles, 4 field artillery guns, and 7 electronic warfare stations. The Dnipro Group's units inflicted losses on manpower and hardware of 3 mechanized brigades, 1 mountain assault brigade, 1 assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 1 Marine brigade. During the week, more than 260 troops, 130 armored fighting vehicles, 2 field artillery guns, 2 uncrewed surface vehicles, and 13 electronic warfare and counterfire stations were neutralized in this direction. From 15 to 21st August, the armed forces of the Russian Federation carried out 1 massive and 9 group strikes by precision weaponry and long-range UAVs. The strikes hit Ukrainian defense industry enterprises, logistics centers, fuel power and transport infrastructure facilities used by the armed forces of Ukraine, manufacturing workshops for ground-based robotic systems, unmanned aerial vehicles, uncrewed surface vehicles, and their components. Flamingo long-range cruise missile preparation and launch sites, ammunition, fuel, and materiel depots, as well as temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian armed groups and foreign mercenaries. In addition, the infrastructure of Ukrainian seaports intended for unloading and storing military cargo and fuel and lubricants for the armed forces of Ukraine was hit. Over the last week, 2 patrol vessels of the Ukrainian Navy, 10 dry cargo ships, and 2 tankers operating in the interests of the armed forces of Ukraine were hit. The Black Sea Fleet eliminated 2 uncrewed surface vehicles of the Ukrainian Navy. Russian Aerospace Forces shot down 1 MiG-29 aircraft of the Ukrainian Air Force. Air defense systems shot down 70 guided aerial bombs, 17 U.S. made HIMARS and Czech-made Vampire MLRS projectiles, 26 Flamingo long-range cruise missiles, and 8,477 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, the enemy has lost 674 airplanes, 284 helicopters, 215,648 unmanned aerial vehicles, 669 anti-aircraft missile systems, 30,672 tanks and other armored fighting vehicles, 1,774 MLRS combat vehicles, 36,224 field artillery guns and mortars, and 69,823 units of special military vehicles. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.